Hello, you guys. Welcome to the Ranting Shop. It's me, Melissa, and I'm back to review Ready to Love. This is the Potomac season. I believe it is season 5, but I really think it should be season 6. There's been this whole debacle because the season with Kalfani and Denise was essentially supposed to be season 3, but it was never counted as a season. So that's what confuses a lot of us. But let's get right into things. I don't know, you guys. Something about this season happening so quickly is leaving me feeling not pessimistic, but it's leaving me feeling very lackluster. Like I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the season. I feel like something is missing, and that could potentially be my excitement. That could potentially be my anticipation is just not there. Sometimes when you get an overabundance of something, it becomes like a turn off at some point because it's like I'm getting too much of it. And we know the saying that says too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So I don't know about these shows doing these back-to-back seasons. The Bachelor and the Bachelorette, they're doing the same thing, giving us back-to-back seasons. I feel like it's a lot. I feel like it's a lot to handle. It's a lot to take in, especially when we're not even done processing everything that's happened with the previous season with Zadia and the Brown Girls Club and all the shenanigans that went there. But we're gonna get into it. I'm done with the ranting. So it's Ready to Love Potomac, and I believe they're all gonna be in one mansion. It is a huge mansion. So a few things are different for this particular season. One thing is that normally there's like more than 10 couples in the beginning, but in this particular season there's only 7 men and 7 women, and they're gonna gradually be meeting new people on dates. So that's gonna be very interesting. Then the focus is set to be more so on quality over quantity. And what else did we learn? We learned that there was no casting special, so we didn't get to learn really there was no separate show to tell us about these couples. They did it whilst on the show, so we got to know them whilst they're on the show, like currently. And what else did we learn? We learned that at the end of that night, 1 man and 1 woman was going to be going home. So let's talk about it. So Wesley, not Wesley, sorry. His name is Paul. For some reason I put Wesley. So Paul is this older gentleman, and he came in and he's talking about he wants sexual attraction first, then he wants substance. And I'm like, this man is kind of like a clown to me. I cannot take him seriously. He seems like he's still in his player mode. These older men that still want to play like they're young men, they're teenagers. He just seemed to me, especially during the first episode, that he's not gotten past that stage of maturity, because he says he wants substance, but I just don't see that. I don't see it because I don't know, it's not giving me substance. And we see during his interaction with the women, they don't take him seriously either. So he's calling himself PO. Talking about it means something delivered or whatever the case may be. The women don't seem to be taking Mr. Paul very seriously. They think he's very surface level, and his intention may be good, but when he was speaking with Tiffany, his delivery was very off, very off-putting. It might be his age. Maybe he's been out of the dating game for a long time. But when I saw the initial promo, I felt like he would be one of the first people that was sent home. But I was proven wrong, and we're going to talk about that later. So we have Dakia. Dakia is tired of online dating and is vaxxed and waxed and ready to mingle. She meets one of the first women to meet the men. We have the Kia is a lot of the women are so interested in Demetrius, including the Kia. Tiffany likes to touch and be touched. She's a Southern girl. She has traditional values. I think we learned that Tiffany was it Tiffany or Ace? Because for me, I cannot tell the difference between who Tiffany is and who Ace is. Tiffany, yes, is a traditional Southern girl, according to what she said. Wiley played football at college. He wants to get married one day. Fernando believes in chivalry, but he does have mommy issues, similar to the situation with Tyrone. You know, we have Demetrius. Demetrius is snatching these women's souls. I told you guys. The Kia, she stood up to greet him. She made sure she stood up to greet him. And that's what I saw about the Kia. She's very respectful, and she's greeting somebody. She stands to greet them. And that's something I didn't see with a lot of the other women. Precious and Demetrius talk. Demetrius was a former military guy like Tyrone. He likes the outdoors. Sabrina has a list, wants a hot man. We see Laverne. Laverne was a former bodybuilder. I said when they introduced Cliff that he's about to be a problem. He just seems like he's about to be a problem to me. However, we see later in the episode that he kind of narrows in on Joy. So that may be a good or a bad thing. Typically, it's a bad thing because you're supposed to get to know all your options. Now, Tommy comes in and he speaks about the new rules, talks about 2 people going home. Fernando was interviewing Sabrina, and literally I saw no connection there, no interest there. In fact, that wasn't Sabrina, that was Joy. I'm sorry, Joy looked very bored. She looked just not amused with the questions that Fernando was like dishing at her. Now, of course, editing makes it seem like he's just like sending out questions bit by bit by bit, but it could have been a conversation. However, that's the image that they want you to get of Fernando, that he is an interviewer, and Joy wasn't feeling that. Kina and Wiley prefers older women. Kina doesn't like young guys like Wiley. Wiley thinks Kina is too blunt, and because of that, they don't really match very well. We have Sabrina and Demetrius. She thinks he's cute. A lot of the women think Demetrius is cute, and we will figure out who thinks Demetrius is attractive at the end. He was married for 3 years, and he was at fault for the demise of the marriage. He was insecure and he cheated. He goes to counseling, he said. Now, there's a lot of red flags when it comes to people that cheated in previous relationships, because it's like, there's an ease, so to speak, with cheating. Because you've done it before, it's easy for you to do it again. However, he did mention that he went to counseling and tried to work on his issue. So hopefully, he's come to a point where he's healed, and he's not going to put another woman through that mess. Sabrina also has a failed marriage under her belt. They grew apart, she said. They got married really early. And that's what tends to happen when people get married really young. It's like you guys don't even know yourselves yet. You don't know who you are individually yet. But then you're deciding to combine with someone else, and they're also clueless as to who they are. So you have 2 people in a relationship that don't know who they are individually. Eventually, they're gonna grow, and either they grow together or they grow apart. But that's the risks of getting together very early. You don't know if you guys are gonna grow to the same spot, or you're gonna grow in different areas. And that is what is essentially always the killer of young marriages. So they have 2 failed marriages in common, and they also have the fact that they go to counseling in common. So that's really good. They bonded on that. We have Precious and Popo. Precious and Paul. Precious is just baffled as to like, why Paul keeps changing his name. These women don't take Paul seriously because he's giving off clown vibes in the first episode. Tiffany has been divorced for 1 year, right? Paul is just as blunt and presumptuous as Keena is. I said they editing him to get him ready to go home. Basically, that's what I kept seeing. Kind of similar to Corey, where they edited him in a way that was unfavorable. And the impression was that he would be sent home, but he was not sent home until much later. Paul is giving me that vibe. They may not send him home now, but they're going to send him home relatively early on. We have Guy with Locks. His name is Torian Precious. I said that Miss Precious is surely working the room. We learned that Tori has mommy issues, was emotionally deprived as a kid. Precious also said that she grew up feeling unloved as well. So they kind of bonded in people like to call this trauma bonding, but I don't think that is what it is. But they did bond in regards to not growing up feeling loved as children. And we know that this has a psychological effect on kids because it kind of leads directly into your attachment style as an adult. And I suppose people that tend to be deprived emotionally tend to be adults who are maybe emotionally unavailable, or maybe their attachment style is an anxious one and they just want to be loved and they're clingy and they just want that emotional bond with other people. So we have that. Then we have, he speaks to some women. He speaks to the women in groups. So he speaks to the first group of women and asks them, like, what do they feel about the men? As I said to you guys, a lot of the women are feeling Demetrius because he's dark and he's in a suit and they find it handsome. The women are, however, not liking Fernando. They think he's too protective. He's like something is not, they're not really getting to his core, And I understand how difficult that could be, because imagine you're on a dating show, you don't know these folks, and you're supposed to just open yourself up to strangers. It's very difficult. So I understand. Paul, they notice that he's very surface level and his delivery is not the best, and they're not really feeling him. However, Joy did mention that she thinks that there's something there with Paul, but she doesn't see anything there with Fernando. Tommy comes in, a man is going home. I think it's Paul based on the edit, but Fernando goes home. Then we have Cliff and Joy. They have a cute little discussion. For some reason, to me, their interaction felt forced. Their interaction felt uncomfortable. Just me as a viewer watching it, it seemed very uncomfortable. I know that they're saying that they have narrowed in on each other and that they find each other attractive and they find each other's personality to be favorable. In the body language, I just don't get the vibe. It doesn't translate, because Cliff doesn't seem to be one that likes to maintain eye contact. When he speaks, he doesn't look at the person. Now I understand you're sitting side by side and it's difficult to maintain eye contact when you're side by side, but at moments he did make eye contact, but for the most part he kept looking away from her. And to me, I don't know, I don't connect to that. That doesn't connect to me as somebody who's feeling somebody else. I don't know, it might just be him being uncomfortable with the process. It's new, it's early and stuff like that, but he's definitely narrowed in on Joy, and Joy has understood that and recognized that he's gone for what he wants, which is her. Tori and Tiffany has 2 kids. Now that could have been Ace. I'm not quite sure. Ace or Tiffany. She has 2 kids. She's guarded, though is more cautious of like just getting into things. So quickly and easily. Precious is a bit much, I said. She seems like she's selling herself to these men. Kina speaks with Laverne, sorry. We don't get to hear what their conversation ended up being like. Cliff and Dakia is talking. Kina comes in. She's talking about she has a headache and she just wanted somebody to give her Advil. Either way, like, they were not really feeling Kina's personality. It just seemed like very standoffish, kind of almost like Tasia vibes, you know. And we all see that Tasia stayed longer than we thought she'd stay, but still, the men were not really feeling that vibe from her. Kina gives the same type of vibe, like very guarded, very blunt, very strong, a little bit defensive, just not a very fun energy to be around, I should say. And I said, I see her going home. But I saw it from the promo pictures, because if you guys remember, I did the cast, my opinions of their visuals, their looks, and Kina looked very sloppy in her dress, in her pose, and from that I figured she's not gonna stay long on that show. I did not see it, you know, and turns out that I was correct. She was tired and got tired during the process, but she also looked very tired during that promo. Like, she took that promo picture when she was beyond tired, and just based on that I was like, she's not gonna last very long. Fernando ended up going home, so essentially it meant that Paul was saved. Tommy comes in to speak to the men. Cliff and Pio, they like Sabrina. They think she's genuine. They like Precious. They like Dakia. They like Joy. The men are not feeling Kina, and they're not feeling Ace or Tiffany. Now, as I told you guys before, I cannot tell the difference between who Ace is and who Tiffany is, like, honestly speaking. Anyways, Kina and Tiffany are put at the bottom, and Kina goes home. So that's essentially what happened for this episode. I'm not feeling it. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm not feeling that enthusiasm, that anxiousness, that wanting to, I can't wait to see the other episode. I'm not getting that feeling, you know. But anyways, that's what we had for this particular episode. Let me know what you guys think. Who is your, like, most favorite woman and man thus far? Who do you think are gonna work together very well? Let me know in the comment section. Like and subscribe, and see you guys for other reviews of Ready to Love next time. Bye.